Hello and welcome to episode 73. And have I got a little something for you? Episode 73 is here, and as always, it's me and Jimmy in your ears. Welcome to another fantastic episode with me, the Star Wars madman Jack, and my fellow co-host, the ever wise and also handsome, the old guy Jedi, Jimmy.
Howdy.
How's your week been, buddy?
Oh, I was going swell until right before we got on the record, and my Pittsburgh Steelers dropped their first loss. Offense looked great after the second half, but we had a great weekend. We had a super busy week last week. We hosted a meet. We had our JV go to a meet. We took our varsity to one of the biggest cross country meets, maybe the biggest high school cross country meet in the States. 5,000 runners total. Just outstanding performances. A lot of my kids stepped up. So it was a really fun weekend, and one or two of my force encounters may or may not have come from that weekend. So yeah, other than that, it was a great week. I'm looking forward to another good week. How about yourself? What have you been up to?
Yeah, no, it's been another crazy week at work. It has not stopped. Something I'm going to allude to later. My phone has not stopped buzzing as well. It's been a crazy one in terms of the podcasts. But yeah, work-wise, it's just been absolutely chaos, mental, non-stop. But as always, getting the time in for Star Wars. Managed to finish Star Wars Padawan as well on Audible. Really, really fun book. Big props to them for that. But yeah, apart from that, mate, it's just been chaos at work. Now, something I alluded to earlier was obviously my phone buzzing, and my phone has not stopped. And I know this is a lot of people's favorite part, one of people's favorite parts of the show, where Jimmy's going to sit there and spiel off all these names. Now, Jimmy, just let the listeners know how many people you've got to spiel off here.
All right, so single spaced. I'm looking at our script here, and it is well into 2 full pages of single spaced names. I mean,
Yeah.
it feels like it never ends. Um, so to avoid losing that many followers, uh, what do you say? I'll rip through those at the end of this episode because I still want to give the love to all those people who have kept our phones buzzing all week. It's
Yeah.
been an amazing, really as far as for you and I. Um, this is the most the growth we've seen, and just a lot of love coming back our way, and it feels great.
Yeah.
Our hard work is looks like it might be paying off eventually.
Yeah, hopefully it's been nuts. And like Jimmy said, we just want to keep the love. Thank you to everybody that's been supporting us, following us. It obviously means a lot. Me and Jimmy, the listeners know, we work hard outside of the podcast. We put a lot of time and effort into the podcast, and it just continues to grow. And it doesn't cease to amaze me. I'm so thankful and grateful and lucky as well. That I've got Jimmy with me, and just we're on episode 73 now. God knows how many hours and that we've pumped out, but yeah, nearly 3 pages worth of names is just phenomenal. And yeah, thank you so much to everybody that has joined. And if you do want to join, please explore the Force on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you are listening to us on Spotify and are curious as to what us handsome men look like, please head over to YouTube, because we do all our episodes on YouTube as well. But again, please like, share, subscribe, and leave some comments on there. Let us know what you thought, what you'd like to see, or any feedback, anything at all. Just get in touch with us. Explore the Force. All one word.
I will warn you, we have the face for radio, so be careful.
Brilliant. Okay, then. Let's head over to Batuu and see what news we got coming out of there.
All right, 200 days to go until celebration. I saw this news on our Facebook, and I was like, whoa. So 200 days to go, and celebration websites have thrown down gauntlet of sites, podcast outlets who want to host fan panels or podcasts on the HoloNet news stage. So we may or may not have put in for those things. Yeah. So we've got possible
Yeah,
panel, possible, you know, podcast there at the HoloNet news station. We have put in for it. I'm not sure how that works. We won't find out until January, so it's going to
yeah,
be a long wait either way. But we're excited just to be in a position, I think, to feel confident enough to do that, and you know, it's pretty exciting. I mean, just the fact that we got to put in for that is pretty cool. Because I mean, I've
yeah.
gone to a lot of
Certainly.
celebrations where that was never even on my radar. So
Here we are.
give back a little bit.
Yeah, and that'll be what, just about 2 years. We're still quite a young show, and to
Yeah.
to have this opportunity and do something at Star Wars
Mhm.
Celebration will just tick off the bucket list.
Yeah, it'll be right before 2 years. It'll be right. Well, no, it's April. Yeah, it'll be right before our 2 year
Yeah,
anniversary. So pretty exciting
unreal.
stuff.
Another milestone ticked off. And speaking of milestone, Star Wars Outlaws have put their roadmap showing that the first story pack will be dropped November the 21st. Whilst in the meantime, there's lots of bug fixes and improvements to the gameplay happening in October. I've seen no end of bugs and glitches. I've experienced them myself, obviously playing on PC. What's your thoughts on this, Jimmy?
I have not had the issues that other people have had. I've been fortunate. I'm not that far into the game. I don't want that to come across like I don't enjoy it. My schedule is chaotic right now,
Mm,
and I'm sitting there trying to figure out like my only weekend free since we started school will be in 2 weeks. So I'm like, all right, I need to be able to sit down and play this. But I feel like it's been so long that I'm gonna have to start over again. But I am excited
yeah,
because I did prepay for those DLCs, so I get those, but I feel so like I don't know if I'm far enough in the game to really appreciate them yet. So I'll get to it. I love the game. I think it's great. I need to have the time to sit down and really give it my all because I feel like it's a game
yeah,
that requires that. And I'm glad that they're getting these fixes. I'm hoping that, because people just keep hating on Star Wars stuff. And I know, but this is something that's like, this is every video game that comes out. There's glitches and there's bugs and they got to fix things. It's not just Star Wars, but with the fandom, we need to get it right. They need to make sure things are ready to go because I do think this game
100%.
warrants um, Star Wars fans to play it. And like lots of people have said, even people who have been negative about the game can't avoid the fact that you are in Star Wars when you're
Yes,
playing this game.
sir.
This is the most in Star Wars game, and I love, love, love Cal Kestis and his journey, but it doesn't feel as Star Warsy as this game does to me. So
Yeah,
that's just my opinion. I don't, but yeah, I'm excited for it. I can't wait. And then there's another one coming in like mid spring, I think.
yeah,
So pretty cool. Just got to find some time
yes.
to play it.
Oh,
So insider Daniel Rickman is reporting that Cal Kestis, just speaking of, is coming to live action on Disney Plus. Duh. Like we've talked about, I can't remember when we were talking about like our favorite Jedi or what episode it was, and we're like, there's no reason that whole cast should not be in a Star Wars show. Like you would be foolish. Now I've seen these rumors. I haven't had again. My time has been eaten up, but I don't know. Some people were talking about possibly in the Skeleton Crew and some other things. Maybe it's their own thing. This makes 100% sense to me. I
yeah,
think that what if, and for the video games, what if they do something? Because I thought in Kenobi, what would have been cool was Cal shows up and Kenobi sends him on a mission, and then you play that mission. Like he's like, we need this, and you go do it.
yeah. That'd be
There's
sick.
something, just something outstanding like that. But yeah, this makes total sense. You've got these characters, you got these actors. They're young, they're energetic. They love being a part of Star Wars. This makes 100% sense to
Yeah,
me. No brainer. I don't know why you wouldn't bring them to live action,
no.
especially with the success of these games. And then you're just going to get more people to buy the games. You're going to get people who just video game. Maybe they pull them into Star Wars, because like, hey, I like this Star Wars game. I'm not in Star Wars, but these characters I love are now
Oh
in
yeah,
this show. Or you could do a whole show with him just running around doing stuff and have no effect on canon whatsoever. The universe
yeah.
is huge.
It is.
How do you feel about
And
it? What do you think?
and I think he will be appearing quite shortly. I've heard rumours it's going to be in the Skeleton Crew. I've heard rumours about the Mandoverse. But yeah, it has to happen. I'm totally with you.
Yeah, I
Totally with you.
don't know why it wouldn't. It doesn't make any sense for it not to.
No. And speaking of sense, Disney has revealed that its Star Wars show, The Acolyte, came in over the production budget. So its cost hit £230.1 million in the end. It was originally budgeted for 180. That's just over 50 million extra US dollars it costs to get over the line. 8 episodes, nearly 250 million to make. That's insane, isn't it, Jimmy?
Yeah, our friend of the show we just had on, Mike, guy who loves Star Wars. He was talking about this on Saturday, and I popped up his live show, and I was chatting with him, and someone was like, $280 million or $230 million for 4.5 hours. From a business standpoint, with the hate and the anger that this show created, even though I don't think some of it's justified, some of it's not. I mean, you're always justified to your opinion as long as you're not being, you know, psychotic about things. But that's a lot. That's a big price tag for something that was
Huge.
not successful. And regardless, you and I both like the show, right? That's a lot of money.
It's a lot.
But I will say this: or the Force. Sorry, my goodness, Rise of Skywalker. I looked it up, and this is what Mike and I talked about a little bit. That cost $416 million to make. Right, that's one movie. That's about 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 5 minutes, whatever. So seriously, though, you're looking at 230 million for two full length movies. With that production, you got movie production, and we had Kev on the show talking about this is exactly how we do it in the movies. That was
Yeah.
a movie production. You got two full length movies, right? Whether you liked them or not.
Yeah.
I didn't like all of it, right? There's lots of episodes I loved, and then there's a couple that I'm like, well, that didn't work for me. Worked for other people. So I think if it had been successful, the money wouldn't be a problem, because I feel like it kind of lines up for the production value
Yeah.
got, but because of everything that has surrounded this show, I get it. I can see it from a business point, but I also think that everyone who hates the show is going to show this, and it's going to be blah 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 blah. Whereas there are ways that it makes sense. Plus, you don't
Yeah.
know how that budget was spent, right? I've read something somewhere that, like, Disney gets kickbacks if they spend so much money in the UK making things, right? So they got to hit a certain number to get
Yeah.
whatever back. I think there's a lot of things that happen in movie industry that we'll never ever understand, and people who are in the movie industry will never
It's a
ever.
crazy business.
Yeah, and so, how much of that is, they pushed this show hard. I'm still getting things on Disney Plus or on my Facebook feed or Instagram that are promoting the Acolyte. So, and you never get, hardly ever get anything like that after something is over. I haven't seen a
Yeah.
single thing for a show once it was over.
Well,
So,
we're still getting people liking, commenting on our reels that we've done for the Acolyte
yeah,
now,
people are
months on.
still like freaking out over some of the things we posted. So it's
Crazy,
been a
mate. It's
slow burn.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. And the thing is, like, we'll never know. Like, they'll never tell us.
Yeah.
So I would be curious,
Mm.
just if we knew someone that was in that show or worked on that show, maybe they could tell us. I don't know, but we can get to that maybe. Maybe we'll know somebody. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? All right, that wraps up this week's news. Okay, so let's dive into this week's Force Encounters. Okay, I'll start us off because my Force Encounter, to know this, it's huge. It is
Can't
massive.
give it away though.
No, but what I will say, and it's not to make sure people listen, but you need to listen to the main show, and you'll
All the way to
see,
the very end.
yeah, and you'll see my Force Encounter, and your mind will be blown. I promise you. Anyone that's not, message me. I'll be asking why, but yeah, that's my Force Encounter.
Yeah, that would have been my Force encounter as well, because I'm blown away by the generosity and just, you know, ju- uh, just blown away by your Force encounter. So maybe a smidge jealous, just a little bit, but I'm
Uh,
super pumped for you and James. Super exciting. My Force encounter, of course, we took our cross country team to Lawrence, Kansas, to Rimrock Farms, University, Kansas. And for this big, massive meet, we go up on Friday, and we always take them to this mall when we're close enough to it, and they have a Lego store in there. And I got to walk in there, and I'm just in my
nice.
place. All my kids see me in there, they start laughing about it, and I end up getting the Sarlacc pit,
Oh yes.
um,
Ready for the
Lego.
sail barge?
Yes, and that's exactly was my argument. So then I started, because the Lego guy, he and I started talking, and he's like, why are you picking this one?" He was just being friendly, and I was like, "Well, I want to get ready for the sail barge when it comes out." And I said, "This will be a perfect setup. Like, have this beside the barge." And then he told me that they're also giving away Luke's lightsaber, um, if you order it on October 5th. And he gave me some other insights, and then we start chatting. He's like, we started talking about the prices of Lego, and some of the things. He's like, "Yeah, I might have to focus somewhere else maybe." And I was like, "Well, I really can't, because it's kind of you know my side hustle." And he's like, "Oh, what's that?" And we started chatting about the podcast and all these different things, and he wrote it down. Hope I'm sure maybe he subscribes. I hope he did. With all the names, maybe his will be one I read off at the end of the show. But yeah, so it was fun, just get to meet people, and um, then we started chatting about the tattoos and things like that. But it's always fun. I love how Star Wars just brings people together, and
Yeah,
sometimes
it just connects everyone.
in I say our business, we do this for fun, but when we're exposed to a lot of the hate and the anger that we weren't exposed to, but prior to doing this, I wasn't really aware of it. I'd always hear people talking about, like, "Oh, internet's terrible," and blah. And I was like, I don't know. I like what I like, and I don't what I don't, and that's my opinion. But having started this podcast and we're in it more, it's always a good reminder when you can just sit and talk Star Wars. You can geek
Yeah.
out a little bit over some Lego, or you can geek out about Funko
Oh
Pop,
yeah.
Black Series. So it was really nice just to have that conversation with that Lego employee there at the Oak Park Mall in Lenexa, I believe. So
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
very fun.
Okay, and that wraps up then this week's Force Encounters. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us today is an incredibly talented individual. And I thought to myself, I must be dreaming, and this is going to be one tough act to follow. So, listeners, I've got a little something for you. He's an actor, a singer, a director, a writer, a composer, and when he's none of those, he's running the mining operation on Kessel. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Dee Tails.
Yo, that was spot on.
You like that?
Yeah, and you can otherwise find me on Star Wars Battlefront playing co-op between that.
There you go. A man of many skills.
How are you guys? Nice to meet you, Jack, Jimmy. What's up?
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Dee.
Not a problem, not a problem. But yeah, I spoke to
Appreciate.
Jack a while back, like before I was heading out to San Diego, and yeah, we were just talking, and it's like, yeah, we'll do this, yeah. And it's been in that kind of circle
Yeah,
of circulation for a little bit, and then yeah, we're finally here.
finally we're here after all the issues we've had, the weather, the
Yes,
communication,
we're super excited to
schedules.
have you here finally.
No problem.
So,
So
Dee, the people out there, then let them know a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, London born. Yeah, studied performing arts when I was a kid, and yeah, took it on from there. Just went on, and like when everybody else in my college went to uni to continue, I just wanted to get going and wanted to start, and so I started dancing for people. I was dancing for Gwen Guthrie. I danced for oh my goodness, who else did I dance for? Dance for WEA bands and just things, just trying to get myself going. My style was very much LA based, so it was very much influenced by MC Hammer. I
Nice.
love Janet Jackson, and all that kind of
Oh,
stuff. And during my college years, I had the opportunity to audition for MC Hammer, and I think it was for his "Too Legit to Quit" world tour. And
oh, wow.
okay.
Yeah, that was way back because I was working at Wembley Arena and Stadium as a steward, so I had seen so many bands, so many artists, from George
Insane.
Benson to Paul Simon. I saw oh my goodness, who else? I saw AC/DC. I saw
Come on,
um
you've lived the dream. You've been Wembley. You've done the music stuff. You've done the
yes,
Star Wars stuff.
so my whole interest was in there,
Yeah,
and the dancing thing was only to get an equity card so that I could go to casting
nice.
and become an actor. And then along the way, ended up in a band called M&A, UK,
Yeah.
biggest international British R&B band. And our explosion hit the scene when our single landed on the soundtrack to the first Bad Boys movie. So
Yeah.
and that kind of voodoo does not happen, and it happened, and we went on to tour with Janet Jackson. So I'm watching her in concert,
Unreal.
to opening up for her. Things like that about my journey just continue to happen. And to cut a long story short, I've had posters on my bedroom wall, man. I've had posters of Madonna. Met Madonna at Top of the Pops.
Oh wow.
Posters of Janet Jackson, then toured with Janet Jackson. Posters of Jodeci, then Jodeci remixed one of our singles. Then had
Unreal.
the posters of Prince. Then I met the new Power Generation. And then the only poster I'd never taken off my wall was A New Hope. And I've spent the last 10 years working on Star Wars. Now, here's something amazing and special, right? That happened in San Diego. Also on my wall, I have a Spider-Man. I have
Nice.
Spider posters, and in '96, Stan Lee sent me an autograph because he knew I wanted one, and it was just like, right? But in San Diego, just by chance, I ran into Todd McFarlane. I
Oh
have
wow.
a Spider-Man poster, and I have a Spawn poster of Todd McFarlane. And
Nice.
those were the last two pieces. Like, I got goosebumps right now, goosebumps. Last two posters on my wall that I've now had associations with. And so I'm assuming my future is just beyond this point, even brighter than I can imagine. So I don't know.
Oh yeah.
But those things, that's been my journey. And like I said, 10 years in Star Wars, man. Grew up
Nice.
loving Star Wars because of Sesame Street.
Nice. Man, wow, that's incredible. I mean, that's I don't even know. I can imagine like Janet Jackson and just Jodas. I mean, I'm not sure Jack knows who some of these people are because I think you and I are close to the same age, D. So I know everyone you were talking about. But yeah, so that is an incredible journey. Talk to us a little bit. I know we talked off air a little bit about, you've had 10 years of association with Star Wars. Have you always been a Star Wars fan? Much like we were both alive when the first one came out. We were both one, but we were alive. We were there. So, have you always been a Star Wars fan, or what's that journey been like for you with Star Wars?
it's I it's hard to describe, but I think it's a familiar experience for everybody. Like if
Yeah.
you grew up loving something, like how you got into knowing about it, to how you fell in love with it, to how it's always remained in your heart, across the board. But with Star Wars, for me, I didn't see it when it was in the cinema. You know, my parents didn't take me to the cinema that often. I only went once in a while, especially only if my uncles went. So between seeing the Jungle Book and seeing Flash Gordon, yes, I love that movie. I love that. Right. I hadn't really been able to see anything, but in the playground, we were all exchanging cards from bubblegum packets and things like that to do with Star
Nice.
Wars. So it looked amazing. And it wasn't drawings. These were actual
I love
people's
it.
spaceship. And there was a robot there, and there was a hairy dog thing there, and everyone was just buzzing. Everyone was just buzzing about this thing. I didn't know who had seen it, who knew more about it than anybody else, but I knew we had these cards. Um, and it was while watching Sesame Street on the weekend. After Sesame Street, a TV show called Behind the Scenes came on. Right now, as a kid, you don't stop to think how a movie's made. right?
Ah,
And you don't even stop to think that there's a camera there filming this thing that you're watching, right? And they're showing these sequences and things, and I remember seeing the making of Dune, and then all of a sudden they did a whole series thing, I think, which spun a couple of weekends based on Star Wars, and I was like, oh, okay, wasn't paying too much attention until one episode came on, and I saw a swamp, and I saw Miss Piggy, and I saw Kermit. I was like, what you doing there? I was like, what you know? And it was like, you recognize who's doing it. You see Frank Oz, but as a child, I knew it was Jim Henson. I knew Jim Henson. I knew who he was.
yeah,
You know, from the Muppets to Sesame Street. Those were my number one shows. And having this follow it, and then them have an association talking about how they were making another puppet that was going to be green and had these ears on there or whatever. And the guy who was puppeteering Miss Piggy was going to do the voice. I was in. Then, when they started showing scenes to do with, when Luke had broken into Cloud Sea,
yeah,
and he was R2, and they saw Boba Fett, and you see this thing driving across like this. I'm like, they showed clips like that, and I was like, whoa. Then I saw I saw people shooting these bolts of light across the screen. I was like, what? Is that real? I was asking Mom, is that real? Can they really do that? Even if it's special effects, can they do that? I want one of those things. Can they? That's all I was made up about. Yes, I saw lightsabers, but those blasters, I'm sorry, to be able to have a gun and it just shoots light across,
yeah.
I was like,
Sold straight away.
I was looking in catalogs for years as a kid saying, I want this for Christmas. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Oh, that's insane.
But that drew me in. That drew me in. And beyond that point, what cemented that was when I got older and got to watch these movies on VHS, I then discovered the bonus feature, which was the George Lucas documentary.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was already into the behind the scenes stuff. And then hearing, oh my goodness,
Just gets you hooked.
hearing how little he had going for him.
Yeah.
In terms of investment and backing from the studios. Yeah, you could have the most famous friends in the world, but if the studios aren't backing you and then start blocking you and then and when you're making it, the people who are making it for you are literally being disrespectful because they don't imagine they can't see what it is that you're seeing or imagining.
Yeah.
The win to be able to watch that documentary and it gets to the point where it says, and on opening day,
Yeah.
boom.
Everyone loves a good underdog story, don't they?
Yeah, but do you remember that scene in what's that Weird Science? Have you seen that movie Weird Science, Jack?
No, I ain't.
There's this part where these two nerdy guys are hiding in the bathroom because the two hot chicks are outside. And they're trying to play cool. And so one of the girls ends up wanting to go to the bathroom, so she knocks on the door, and the guy opens the door, and she says, "Oh, can we come in there?" And she says, "No," and he says, "Why?" He says, "Oh, because Chad's taken a poodoo." Right. and next thing you know, you see the door's closed. He's facing Chad, and Chad goes right straight across his face. That's what the industry took from George Lucas when that movie was a success.
Yeah.
It took a massive slap in the face,
Yeah. Yeah.
But that, on top of me then researching and finding out more about Joseph Campbell. Yeah, what's that? The Power of Myth. I own the Power of Myth DVD set that he has. In terms of story structure, where the origins of story come from, and how the layers reflect moments and journeys in someone's life. And they're all kind of palpable to and comparable to everyday things that we suffer from and go through in
massively.
in our life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
so that was it was an education, it was an experience, and it was an inspiration.
Yeah.
If you have a dream, if you have an ambition, if you have something, it doesn't matter if nobody else can see it, nobody else can feel it. As
Just got
long
to
as
go
you
for it.
know what it is that you have, and
Yeah.
you're sincere to yourself, you
Yeah.
cannot not deliver.
Yeah.
It's
No.
massive.
100%, mate. I completely agree with you. Obviously, like, you've been in so much Star Wars, and this next question might be a bit more trickier, but do you have a favourite Star Wars movie? Obviously, Jimmy loves Solo. I'm a big fan of Rogue One. What's Dee Tails' favourite Star Wars movie?
My favorite one that I'm not in is A New Hope, because of everything I've just said. It's just like New Hope. That was George Lucas's last hope. His one and only hope.
Yeah.
You know, but as far as the ones that I've been in, Solo was an absolute incredible experience working with. So getting to work with people like Phil and Chris was absolutely amazing. I got on really well with Phil. He was really funny. And then the extension on that whole filming process, I'd already been on it for maybe 2 months, which was already a dream.
Yeah.
I thought I was being brought in for just the bar scene with the sabacc sequence,
Love
whereas
that.
whereas I got to write with Tom Bell, and things were set up with the film Chris direction, where we were sat at the table and we were emulating the Abjurians we played in The Force Awakens, where I sat there laughing and whatever, to pay homage to that, because it's the same two characters playing two twins, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
But that got lost in translation by the time we went into the second half of filming. But before we got into the second half, I done that, and then I was told about another creature they wanted me to play, and he worked in some computer room or something like that. And I thought, oh, it's just another background creature type thing or whatever. Just
Oh
make it up,
no.
And as the days went by and the weeks went by, then it was like, oh, Dee, we need you to speak to Andrew Jack. Um, bless him, and he helped me work on a language, because it wasn't going to be spoken,
Nice.
probably this alien language, and how to reach that. And then I wanted to find out more about this design, because I'd seen the design. I was like, "Hey, what is this? Where is this coming from?" Oh, you have to speak to Jake Lunt Davies. I'm like, "Oh, okay, Jake, what's going on here?" Oh, it's a pike. From the pikes and stuff like that. So and because he's been on that planet for a while, and he's been placed there like he did something wrong or something or
Yeah.
whatever. You know, he looks that way and has this breathing apparatus and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, I know pikes. Right. So I got to go away and prepare for that. We shot some of that computer room sequence, and then we were flown. Yeah, then we were flown to Fuerteventura in Spain, south of
Oh, nice.
Oh, it was absolutely amazing, and yeah, just being on set with these incredible people: Donald Glover, Emilia Clarke,
Amelia Clark, yeah.
Woody
Holden
Harrelson.
Emmerich.
You know,
Woody Harrelson's absolutely class as well.
oh, it was just, and then you're surrounded by this stunt team that you're just hanging with. And while I was just waiting there, here's a conversation. I can't remember the stunt guy's name. I want to say it's Yanis, but I don't know. I was talking to the stunt guy, and we were just talking about films he'd worked on, and we're talking about Marvel. And I
Yeah.
said, yeah, I think my favorite Marvel guy has to be probably Captain America, because when you think about it, when you're watching it, you're seeing this guy physically do all this stuff. But when it's Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr.'s probably only 10% of the movie, right? And it's all CG, right? And
Yeah,
I'm like,
fair
I
one.
was thinking about that, and I said, like, there's this move that he did where he just flipped in the air, not the Age of Ultron, but it was before that where he just did this barrel flip in the air and lands. And I was saying, wow, that was just intense. And he goes, yeah, I did that. What? I was like, what? What are you saying to me right now? So all these types of experiences I got to have, that I wouldn't normally have had on anything else. I was in the
That's
desert.
amazing.
I got to see Jonas as Chewie with his hair blowing in the wind and sand, whipping it all up. And I got to hold Alden's blaster. I got to, not in the movie, but the prop guy let me hold it. And
Nice.
Nice. The BL-44.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that, as well as many things, but also one of my favorite scenes in Solo was when Six Eyes captured Solo cheating. As far as I'm aware, that could have possibly been one take. Now you understand there are two guys operating those eyes under the table.
Yeah.
Derek's wearing the thing, and while the directors were off screen, they were talking to Alden and saying, "Well, now you're looking, and Six Eyes, you catch him, and then boom, boom." And I'm offset, and I'm watching this monitor of what the camera's capturing, and as they're talking, you see it all play out, and I'm like, this is like Jim Henson stuff. And half of those guys worked with the Muppets and Jim. I was in heaven. It was just one of the best things I ever seen.
We need to get you back on at some point, Dean. We will literally just do a solo review.
Absolutely. Oh, I'll be so happy to. Actually, a watch party.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would. Yes, please. Yes, please. I anytime I'm having a bad day or whatever, Solo is the movie I go to. I think people will appreciate it later, but that is the most Star Wars movie I think of. It hits all the beats and it does all the stories and the potential for it, for the next, supposedly they had more movies planned, and then of course it got to the bad, with everything that happened on the stages and stuff. I love that movie, D. Like I can't tell you, like that movie brings me more joy than anything.
Well, that movie is pretty safe. It's safer than the saga movies, because that movie can fit into any era just after any animation sequence. My defense of Alden not looking like Harrison Ford. Ewan McGregor doesn't look like Alec Guinness, and Donald Glover doesn't look like Billy D. Williams. So can we get off that? Yeah. So when we start dealing with that and start dealing with the entertainment of characters, in a world that you understand who it is they're playing and what ages and stuff like that, so on and so forth. When I was working on that movie, it was very clear that my sequence was a fast pace. What you call it? One of those Ocean 11 sequences. This is how we play it out. So someone could be talking and and this is all happening because of how it was being shot. And to be part of something like that, it tells you the style and pace of what it is that you're in. But yeah, just an overwhelming sense of achievement by everybody on that production. It's unbelievable. And then I didn't even mention the second half when Ron Howard turns up.
But yeah,
we'll get you on. We're going to do a solo review.
Okay, all right. So I'll hold that story about Ron Howard.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, just things that make you happy to be in the industry that you're in and in the hands of those types of people. Just amazing.
I will have to ask you. I'm going to have to ask you one more question about that. So, with all the Star Wars you've been in, and it sounds like you had a great time and great experience on Solo. What cast member stands out to you, like, from any of the movies, just blew you away with their skill or their kindness or just an absolute blast to work with? Like, so you have all of those. You can pick one for each, or just.
The answer to that question would possibly change, any time, certain time of the day, right? But the first one that comes to mind is Amelia Clark. Yeah, simply, I say simply, but certain qualities that someone of her stature, especially as we were waiting for the final installment of Game of Thrones, so she was
Yeah.
already
It's
huge.
shot to fame, yeah, big time.
Yeah, she was lovely and polite to everybody, and even to the frustrations of maybe the crew at times, man. Her laughter is infectious. Her laughter is big, right? It's just huge. And just my interactions with her and just talking, or being, or just the rehearsals and things like that. It was, it was very, very. It's one of those things where you just kind of press record
Yeah.
and just kind of sit back and just enjoy that moment, because you know that that moment's going to run out in 29, 28, 27,
Yeah.
26, um but there was this thing where her and Phoebe,
Mhm.
was singing, yeah, E17's Stay. All right,
Ugh.
which is the UK track. These kids stay now, right? Try to sing that without a voice, right? But they started singing that, so I joined in, and I said, yeah, yeah. And I had the Quatel site head on because we were waiting to get going. I said, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nice.
I said, oh yeah, I toured with them, and they both stopped and looked at me for a second. I said, what do you mean you toured with E17? Right? I said, yeah, I was in a band called Emanate. They lost. They lost it. And they just said, oh my god," and started singing the song right there and then. You
Class.
know, it's moments like that that make you. It's like I forget sometimes. I forget
Yeah.
sometimes that that's a thing, um, because I don't really expect people to say, "Oh, you were in that band, you did that." But occasionally, some of those moments really do hit the spot, man. And
Yeah. Yeah.
if, oh, I don't know,
I
I could,
I can imagine, mate. I can imagine it
imagine
unseen.
and underneath that helmet, a little tear rolls down my face. But
That's insane.
Amelia Clark was absolutely lovely.
Nice.
But this is the thing. Even when talking with her, and she's being bubbly and stuff like that, and then they will roll an action,
Yeah.
and she just carry on. And it's only when you watch the movie that you see that she went from just bubbly into knowing exactly what moment she was in and what emotion she was delivering, and this relationship that she was having. And that's that has to be one of the newest or most recent lessons that I've learned watching a performer perform without,
Nice.
and I don't even think she was trying. You know,
Who who else have you got up there on your list, D? Obviously, Amelia Clark's probably number one for you. Who else?
um,
Give me another two.
another two people that have just blown me away.
Yeah.
Donald Glover. And then another one on solo. The next one won't be on solo, I promise. Right? But Donald Glover was entering back into the studio roughly about the same time as I was, and
Yeah.
we just struck up a conversation as we were walking in. I just purchased his album, which I was blown away by. I can't remember the name of the album, but it's like this obsidian black face, and it's got this blue thing around it.
Okay.
I think sort of red. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. But was talking to him about that, and as we walked in, we saw um, another puppeteer. And I'd been talking to this puppeteer, about this album, and he said, "Yeah, yeah, I love this album. I love the album too." And so as we walked in, see this guy, and while we were talking to him, they're rehearsing this little puppet that was either going to be in this back bar, um, or Dryden Voss's yacht. They hadn't decided yet, but rehearsing it. So we stood there watching that for a while.
Nice.
And then and then we continued to walk onto the set, and it was just so cool. It was just so on a level. It was, and someone who I caught him and Alden catching themselves a couple of times saying, "Can you believe what we did?" And then they're blind.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I can believe what you
Nice.
I can believe what you did.
Who
And
else you got?
the last one, Mark Hamill. Mark, I was on The Last Jedi watching a monitor,
Nice.
and I didn't have my slow and low head on. I just had the gown on, and I was just watching this monitor. And normally there's a buzz if someone's on set because it just goes round. You hear the whisper real quick, right? And I heard nothing, and I'm stood there, and this guy comes up right next to me, and he said, "Oh man, that looks really, really cool." And I looked across, and I'm looking at Luke Skywalker.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And so then I'm like, D, how good an actor are you? Right? So I'm like, yeah, you see what's going on there, right? So I explained to him that these creature performers had heads on that they couldn't see out of. So they had someone in their ear, directed them to walk straight, then 9 o'clock, then 6 o'clock, or whatever. And the extras who didn't have heads on, all they had to do was avoid anybody with a head on because they didn't know whether they could see them or not. Right? And I said to him, yeah. He said, and the guy in it is just telling him where to go and walk up to the steps and stuff like that. And he says to me, yeah. Sometimes I wish there was someone in my ear telling me where to go and what to do and all that kind of stuff. And then I just laughed, and then I could feel the heat. I could feel the heat
Oh man.
of 1,000 eyes watching, right? And I think he could too. And he says, right, he goes, all right, I better go, And I said, all right, all the best, And he went off, and the real me was still stood there. My actual body had fainted, was on the floor. But yeah, just beautiful thing. And like I said, witnessing moments with puppeteers and things like that, that's all the magic that I love about Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's just that stuff. Just the good stuff.
With all your Star Wars, you've been in this, and even outside of Star Wars, have you ever been able to keep a prop or anything that, I mean, if you're not allowed to answer because Disney, the Mouse House will come get you, we understand.
Yes.
But blank twice for yes, and but have you ever been able to take anything from set, or do you have anything that like that?
Yes. No, and it comes back to Solo, right? So, dude, it's a Solo evening, man. It's meant to be. The Gotterites that we play, myself and Tom Bell play in the Sabak bar area. We're wearing these space flight suits, and these space flight suits have these patch badges, and the patch badges on there are in is it the Star Wars language? Arabic? Yes. Yeah, and on that badge are the names of all the people that made the costume. And myself and Tom were presented one of those on the set.
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
And the other one is I have a Rogue One crew jacket.
Oh, really nice.
Yeah. And while we were filming that, it started off with I was being fitted for K2SO, but it was that L1 droid. It was that blue droid, right? And because it was the first droid I was getting to play, and I've gone through maybe 4 months of fittings for this beautiful costume. That got relegated to being an L1 droid when they redesigned. When Lucasfilm did their thing, like you'd see them on the prequels. You see them on the prequels and say, "Oh no, let's change that design or whatever." I was part of that process,
Oh,
and
nice.
so it went from that straight to the big tall droid with Alan Tudyk doing the voice, right? And my only concern was that they still wanted me in the movie after all that work, and yeah, I got my couple of seconds.
That's
But
insane. So you were the original K2SO.
yes, yeah, until they upgraded the designs. Um, but that was a beautiful process. I'd rather be part of that process than not be.
Oh
And
yeah,
because Android is blue, on my army green Rogue One jacket on the back, I have a shiny blue material patch of the Rebel logo,
yeah. That's
and
insane.
that's the only crew jacket in the world with that on there. And it was the wardrobe department that put it on there. So I'm
Wow.
like, yes.
That's a great claim to fame amongst everything else that you've got as well.
I was gonna say, add it to
Yeah,
the list.
yeah,
I'll
unreal.
dig it out. I'll dig it out at some point and take a picture of it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Obviously, like you said, well, we've said as well, you've done all these amazing things, TV series as well as movies. I'm just trying to keep it obviously Star Wars related. What's been the most memorable moment for you, D?
Most memorable moment. I think it was on The Force Awakens. I think it was the first day on The Force Awakens where all the creatures had already been chosen. This was the day that all the fittings that you had been through were going to now be put on you, and now you were going to be put on set to do what you had rehearsed to do.
Yeah.
Um, and I turned up, and it looked like one of those images I'd seen on the behind the scenes of Return of the Jedi, when you're seeing half the stormtroopers without their heads on and Ewoks without their heads on. But this was backstage of Maz's castle with all these creatures with half their heads on and half their heads off and things like that. And I was just caught in that moment
Looking around.
of where it started for me and when my
Yeah.
all started, and now it's all involving around Star Wars. And the first person I saw was Kieran Shah, and I had been for the past at that time it was about 3 months. I had been writing the first of my books. And they're not published or anything, but I've written two books. And they're both based on fairy tales. And so while I was writing them, in the background, I had on Lord of the Rings. Kieran Shah's on there. I had on Harry Potter movies,
Nice.
And when I got to set, I said to him, "Dude, I've just been watching you for months on my TV," And the dresser said, see, people do know who you are. Bless him." And because he's been in the industry for so long, he was in Superman with Christopher Reeves. He's met
Nice.
Marlon Brando. The dude is he is cinema.
Yeah.
He's cinema royalty, and yeah, we've hit it off since then. And like every time we're on set, we talk, and I listen. It's not that we talk; he talks, and I listen
Yeah.
because it's it's invaluable every word that he says.
Oh god, yeah, I can imagine.
Oh, and Tim Rose is the same. I remember that Tim Rhodes is the same. Tim Rose, yes, love him.
Nice. Obviously, you've worked on quite a bit of TV series as well with Star Wars. Most recently being the Acolyte. What was that like?
Well, I got to play another Abednego. I think that's how you say it. Same species as Slow and Low,
Yeah.
and they had chosen this species because they liked the look of the species, and the CFX department had brought me in because Paul Casey wasn't available. He was working on Doctor Who.
Oh, okay.
And he's played that species before, as in Ello Nasty and a few others, I think. Um, and I was the only other person available who had played that species before, but who could also possibly fit the head skull, the head cap that he has inside that headpiece. And so all it took was a little padding in a few places, and it fit like a glove, you know.
Nice.
And so yeah, when they brought me in and told me that told me what his name is, I said, Okay, you can't. You might not want to call him that. You know, I said, look, the last time I played this species, yeah, he was named after a Beastie Boys song. Yeah, the last and another guy in Force Awakens, he was in the Elo Nasty. He's named after a Beastie Boys song. So you might want to change that. You don't have to, but I'm just saying because the fans will know, especially if you're bringing me in to play this species.
Yep.
And they said, well, I didn't know all of that because they just based it on what it just looked like an alien, right? So they went away and checked, came back, and yeah, we're going to change your name. And then I had a phone call at some point or whatever saying it's being changed to Senator Chewant, and I was like,
Nice.
you know,
Nice.
so yeah, just that's just the win, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about music we grew up with, Jimmy. You know, we knew, Beastie Boys from the first album. So that to where they are now as living hip hop icons, part of my journey as well. It's a part of Star Wars. It's just mixed in there. Thanks to JJ, you know.
I love how you mix it, bring it all together, man. That's awesome. You keep that tradition alive, and just phenomenal how you bring all other aspects of your life, and you just kind of, you push into that character. Is there a, is there a character, or like, we have Jedi, we have bounty hunters, we have, all these different things. Is there a character that you want to play in Star Wars, as far as, a type? Do you want to be like, what would be
Yeah.
if they came to you and said, D, we're going to put you in, what do you want to be in this movie? What would the young D that saw, Star Wars and was playing in, on the playground, what's he going to say?
Um, I'd love to be a droid. I'd love to be a droid. And I can't think of a droid I'd more love to be than the L1 droid that I played in Rogue One. Um, during We all knew it because it was through in the press, and it was when we got on set we were warned and told this. We had to be warned and told this because we can only spend 20 minutes in the suits, yeah, um, without being without having 20 minutes and then having to be checked on, in regards to whether you need air, whether you need a break or whatever. All right, it's stipulated.
No, I
And it was
didn't know that.
varied from a droid suit to a Wookiee suit that Ian White was wearing. I think it's kind of like a snow monstery Wookiee suit type thing, to anything that had a helmet, to anything that was more prosthetic and a pull-on. The pull-ons you have to be very careful with, and this rule comes predominantly based on this foam that they use, right? The foam that I wore in The Force Awakens is made out of a certain type of chemical, yeah? And
Yeah.
for me, it's like, oh yeah, it smells nice, yeah? But if I'm not checked on after 20 minutes or every so often, the next thing I could be saying after this smells quite nice is, well, what happened? Why am I waiting? Why am I just waking up? Yeah, because you will pass out. So everybody needs to be checked on. Um, and in this droid suit, because it's just pieces on a bodysuit,
Yeah.
my eyepiece, my visor piece, is just a vent. It's just got loads of air in there. It's just a mesh behind it with these LEDs in front, right? The jaw could come away so I could look like RoboCop. It was so cool. And then it would magnetize and go back in, and it had holes in there so that in case I needed more air. But it was one of the most comfortable suits I've ever worn because it was
Nice.
made to be specifically, and it was made to be a hero suit because it was being made to be L2 K2SO. But on set, because you didn't know when they were filming and when they weren't filming, even when they said action, you wouldn't know if they'd cut because they could be halfway down the set or whatever. You just had to keep going. And I had met these kids, yeah, and I started talking to these kids with my droid voice and introducing myself, and then they got into character and were improving. And I think it was Amy Wong who told another kid off and said, "No, you have to improvise." All right, it's like that. I was like, "Oh bless," right? And so we really hit it off, right? And then there was a break, and then after that break, their carer said, "Oh, look, there's your robot or droid friend. Go and see your friend." And as they came running over, it's that sequence that they put into the movie that I didn't even know they were filming. And as they came running,
Nice.
I was so excited to see them. I start doing this, and it's just literally that long. That's what's in the movie, and you see them just coming up like that. And Pablo Hidalgo wrote this amazing piece in the dictionary of Rogue One, which about the L1 droid, and that he had befriended some street urchins, some children, and he was trying. He was finding food and trying to provide for these children that he'd found or come
Yeah.
across, and was on a deeper spiritual journey as to understanding what the meaning of life is, or something like that. And I'm just like, that's a movie.
That would
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, that would
That's
be
insane.
cool to see. A droid gets to kind of, they're always with humans or with to see a droid kind of going off and having its own adventure would
Dude,
be
dude, you just give me goosebumps. I've written a film script about droids.
awesome. Oh,
I've written that movie, right? About a set of droids that are traveling across a landscape type of thing. More entertaining than the one that you saw in the Clone Wars or whatever it was. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
We were on
That,
about that last week.
that was for the 5-year-olds and the 4-year-olds. They can have that, but this
yeah.
one would be for those who appreciate the the influences of Star Wars, but then also this kind of danger that's kind of chasing them along this journey. But it's
Nice.
it's entertaining, and one of the droids is a B1 battle droid, so everything that he says has to be entertaining. So it's all good. But yeah,
Nice.
if they're not making it, I'll write it for my own entertainment. I'm like, yeah, I got that, and it's done.
That sounds fantastic.
I'd be down to watch that. That sounds really good. That just sounds really, really good.
That would be awesome. That would be so much fun to see that. Just something different, I think that maybe that's what Star Wars needs sometimes. Is something a little bit different
Yeah.
outside the box.
Like they were saying
You
last
know,
week, don't cover. Star Wars needs to be fun again.
well, look, I think as far as Star Wars goes, we need to stop making children's TV show for adults. 100%.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean that 100%. 100%. We can talk about how everybody loves Andor. It's just like, oh my goodness, I suppose you love Game of Thrones too. Of course you do. It's boring and slow. Ask a 12-year-old how they feel about Andor.
Yeah, they'd hate it.
Yeah, a lot of kids didn't.
And I've got issues with Andor too, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You love Solo. I know 100 12-year-olds who love Solo. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's make children so for children that adults can reminisce to.
I'm
Great
here
shout.
for it. I'm
But
here for it.
until they do that, we'll imagine for ourselves and we'll make
Yeah,
do.
we're stuck at the minute.
Well, do you have? I mean, you've had an amazing career. I mean, you've done everything. I mean, you sit there, dance. You've been a star in the band. You've been in these great movies. You've done a lot of things outside of Star Wars as well. What advice do you have to somebody? Because it's not the well, I went to like you said. Your friends were in school and you guys went to university, and then you went your way because you had this dream. What advice would you have for somebody? Because it's scary not to have. I'm a teacher, Jackson, in the military. We have these like stable jobs, and we've talked to lots of people and actors and authors and things. What advice do you have to somebody who wants to have your journey in life? Has
Uh,
dreams of doing some of the things that you've been able to do so far.
I told someone this today, I think it was, and it was like having a passion for something is an instinctively ongoing thing. It's just instinctive. There were no guarantees that anything that I was doing was going to reach a certain point of
Yeah.
acknowledgement or recognition. Um, just understanding everything about it's like with M&A, we had no idea whether we were going to be signed, right? But we would rehearse around each other's houses and just sing a cappellas. I had to go and get singing lessons so that I could join in with the a cappellas, because I was only going to do the baritone octaves and double for the lead singer when they started ad-libbing so that I could cover that space on the track. But it's things like that I understood. I understood how New Edition layered their vocals, in the studio. I've got a story about that, a connection with that too. How they put their vocals together for live shows. And so that their BVs were going to be on a DAT being played. And it may only be one chord or whatever, but then they would layer their live vocals on top of that, and you would get this resonating sound of vocals.
Yeah.
So I understood that. I understood the art of performance and style because I'd worked at Wembley Arena, Wembley Stadium. I was in that field of dance and entertainment on my way to get my equity card, and my knowledge went into not only loving MC Hammer or Bobby Brown, it was like learning their dance routines as a kid. You're in a bedroom and you're doing that and you're doing
Jimmy was for sure.
yeah, and getting those albums out with the lyrics on there. I was doing that since breakdance, man. So all of these things came into play so that I could apply it to this band I was in.
Yeah.
There hadn't been an R&B band ever like that in the UK. We only had bands like that on import. Like you had Boys to Men or you'd have Jodeci, and they'd come over, and it'd be just for that one single or something like that or whatever. And we came in and just things happened, I believe, because we were so sincere about it. During that time, we weren't sitting there doing nothing. The guys had jobs or were doing stuff. What was I doing? I was trying to find dancing jobs and things like that. And really, my main job was working at Wembley Stadium and Wembley Arena. So I had a income coming in while I was being educated by all these bands that I was watching.
Yeah.
And all the videos from MTV Raps and all this type of stuff, But what I'm trying to say to you is that if you have a passion for something, it doesn't just start on that day. You have all this information as to why you have a passion for this thing, what you are capable of doing. Are you going to wait for somebody to say, hey, I'll give you $10,000 if you write me a script, based on Star Wars droids? Or are you just going to write that script anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like my books, I've written 2 books. I had to write them anyway. Had to pour it out. Had to purge this thing out. Wrote both of them like just over 10 years ago. They're just sitting there, but it had to be purged. Being sincere to yourself doesn't necessarily mean instant fame and success. It means that you've been sincere to yourself so you know yourself. You know who you are. You know what you are capable of doing, despite what anybody else says you can or cannot do. Yeah? You are the director of your own movie. So why not write yourself in as a star?
Nice.
You look at everybody's life. That's why I tell you about the documentary about George Lucas. Watch it. Look at all those things compounding him, and you start counting them on your finger. This was against him. That was against him. Then his health was against him because of the situations. All of these things, and the only thing he stayed true to was himself and that project.
Yeah.
If he had left that project and said, look, I can't handle this. Yeah, that's another kind of truth. It's like, well, I can't do that. But nothing's impossible, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm possible, but nothing's impossible. So
Yeah.
it's all good. That's what I'd say.
Nice.
Well,
Nice.
I'm going to play that clip for my students, Dee, so you know that
Uh,
that's very powerful, man. I love that.
That was a great
That's,
little. Yeah.
yes, that was,
Yes.
I mean, amazing. I can feel the
well,
passion through the
Yeah.
computer screen right now, man. I want to just give you a big hug or something. Like, I'm like, yes.
oh, bro. Look, look,
Yeah.
look. Nothing in life is guaranteed other than what you can guarantee yourself. I can guarantee myself that I can sit down and write something. Why? Because in a year or two from now, I could say to myself, oh, I could have written a script in that time, but I didn't. Yeah, I'm doing all these different things. I've got all these things going on in my head. I'm spending a certain amount of time, a little bit amount of time that I can, just on my little hobby, just on my little dream.
Yeah.
You know? Because the world will suck you dry. Yeah, and the only thing that keeps you lubricated, in a clean term, is the imagination. That's your natural spiritual lubricant, because you can generate all the energy you need just from your imagination. This is like, well, I have an imagination. I imagine myself doing this. I imagine myself doing that. All right, then, how sincere are you to that process? I tell you what, get up half an hour early every morning. Sit there, close your eyes, take some deep breaths, and talk about what kind of day you're going to have. Dictate what kind of day you're going to have, instead of waking up in this pre-programmed world as just another drone.
Yeah.
Doing that, going to bed, before you go to bed, say everything you're grateful for in that day, that you've persevered through in that day, that's allowed you to hold on to this dream another day longer. Yeah, imagine what it's going to be like. Yeah, signing that check, standing there with that book, standing there with your achievement or your trophy. Visualize it. They proved it in metaphysics. I'm getting
I'm
deep now.
fired up. I'm fired up for this week already.
I'm ready to go.
They proved it in metaphysics that your thoughts have energy, which means your words have energy. So everything beautiful you want to see in yourself, everything beautiful you want to experience, you tell yourself that. Don't cast your spells willy-nilly, you know.
Nice.
When people say, it's like those sayings when people say, "Oh man, I wish you dropped dead," and then someone does drop dead. It's like, damn, I should have said, I wish I won the lottery."
Yeah.
It's that, but I make it sound simple, but it's a daily thing. It's a daily thing, because you're proving to yourself each day you're going to hold on to this, and each day you're going to take one pigeon step closer. It doesn't have to be a yard. It doesn't have to be a massive leap. Whether it's a thought, whether it's a note, whether it's a picture you put up. Like I said about the posters on my wall, I didn't know what I was doing. I do now, right? But
Yeah.
because I do now, I can sit here and I can tell you that, because one or two of those things would be a coincidence, but all of those posters, that's not a coincidence.
No.
So
Absolutely not.
so yeah, it's down, look, man, it's down to your belief, but it's also down to everything you understand about what you have a passion for, not just the glitz and glamour. What's it gonna take from you? What's it gonna take from you to actually pursue this?
Yeah.
What kind of commitment? What kind of sacrifices are you prepared to make?
100%.
It's everyone wants, some people, they just want a simple answer. They just want an easy fix. Oh, do I just do this? Push a button, boom, it's done. No. That's not how this place works. If you want to know how this place works, you have to understand how to tap into its frequency, and its frequency is your imagination.
Yeah. and that's what drives us all, I think, with this,
Yeah.
especially in a world of Star Wars. We're just about to wrap it up now because it's been nearly 60 minutes of your time. Super appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Like Jimmy said as well, we are definitely getting you back to do a solo review. It's in the works. Me and Jimmy are working on it. More than happy to get you on to do some stories.
I want to ask you a question because I forgot about this during the whole San Diego thing. But what was that thing about cards? You have a story about collections and things like that about you and your son. You were collecting cards because you were asking me to get you some cards from San Diego.
Yeah,
But
so there's loads of Star Wars collector cards out there that me and my lad we're getting into. It's the Star Wars Unlimited stuff, and they're doing some. We didn't get any of the San Diego Comic Con ones, so we missed out on them. But we've got a bunch of Star Wars Unlimited cards as it is anyway. But it's like a trading card game essentially.
And that's what you and your son bond over and.
Oh, we've bond over Star Wars. Like we've been to Star Wars Celebration last year. That was the biggest thing for us. Getting to share that with him.
Oh man,
that's where me and Jimmy met.
Because at San Diego, it was like you have to get there early, and you have to pick up a ticket or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
And then throughout the day or something like that, they yell out something like that, and then you have to rush around and get
it's
and
crazy.
Get card, and then you end up having to pick up something like this.
No way! Hold on to that bad boy, D.
Hold on. What you're talking about this. That's
what I was on about.
Will you explain to your audience what this is?
He has got an absolute diamond exclusive Star Wars Unlimited cards you could only get at San Diego Comic Con. What a guy!
And it's yours, my friend.
What a guy!
Wow.
Yeah, we'll exchange info, and I'll get this to you, my friend.
What a legend!
D, that's very generous. That's amazing. I'm pumped for Jack and for James. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Excuse me. Well, listen, look, thank you so much for having me on, guys. It's been absolutely amazing talking to you. Yeah, my love to your students. Yeah, keep hanging in there. Keep hanging in there. Ain't got no choice really, but just keep hanging in there.
No, do not. All right, Jack, you want to take us out?
Yes, again, thank you so much, Dee, for everything, as always. Absolute inspiration. Keep doing what you're doing. Hope to see you back on the big screen. I'm sure we will in the future. Before we always sign off as well, we have a little quote or a little saying that we say. As always, I'll start us off. So for myself, Roger. Have you got one, Dee?
Roger.
All right. And for all of us, Dee, again, thank you so much. I'm just glad I got to spend some time with you. I hope that we get to spend some more time talking some solo later on. But it's been an absolute pleasure getting to meet you, sir. Thank you for everything you do in Star Wars and just your outlook on life. Phenomenal. And for all of us, we have spoken. We'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye.
Peace.